Hey, what's up guys? It's Ali Goodwin, and today we're going to be talking all about UT. I am rocking my UT shirt right now, showing some school spirit. Yeah, I'm just going to be talking kind of about what I learned my freshman year at UT, or just in general what UT is really like. Also, a couple months ago, I made a day in my life video at UT, so if you want to kind of get a feel for what a typical day at UT is like for a student, then that would be a great video to watch. I will link it below if any of you guys want to watch that. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Number 1. So first of all, what is like UT kind of like? What is the student culture and what is living in Austin like? So there's kind of a slogan that's really famous for Austin, which is keep Austin weird, which is definitely true. I wouldn't say Austin people are like crazy weird, but you definitely have some quirky people, some quirky events that happen around the city, which I love. I think it gives the city so much personality, but that may not be for everyone. UT is a very liberal school, not that UT is not accepting of all political beliefs, and UT is a huge school, so whether you're conservative, moderate, liberal, whatever you are, I'm sure there is a club for you, friends for you, all of that good stuff, but generally UT is pretty liberal, which is just something that you should know going in. 2. UT is a really competitive school. It's definitely difficult to get into UT. I was at the top of my class in high school, so I was always kind of used to being kind of the best at everything. And then when you get to UT, everyone was at the top of their class in high school. So you kind of go from being a high achiever at your high school to being just like everyone else at UT. And that sounds kind of weird and not something I had thought about at all going into UT, but it's definitely kind of a challenge to get used to that. Me and all of my friends talked about just how many talented people there are at UT and how that's kind of overwhelming, and you kind of second guess yourself and think, am I supposed to be here, you know? So you just have to remember that you got into UT, you deserve to be there, and use all those amazingly talented people to your advantage to collaborate with them and learn from them. And don't be overwhelmed that you may not be the smartest in your class anymore. Number 3, are classes hard? Yes and no. I think that classes aren't necessarily harder than high school classes, but they're a lot more work. So in high school I would write like 1 to 2 page essays, but at UT I'm writing like 5 and 6 page essays. It's definitely doable. You go to class a lot less amount of time in college than you do in high school, so you have more time for homework, but it's just going to be a harder workload and your classes are going to move faster than high school. So don't be paranoid that you're going to fail all your classes. If you're willing to put the work in, you can definitely get all A's at UT. Number 4, unless you're going to med school or grad school, your GPA doesn't matter a ton. That doesn't mean do bad in your classes, but cut yourself a break, you know? GPA is not everything. Use college as a time to learn. There's a ton of really cool classes and professors at UT that I learned so much from. Like for example, I loved my astronomy class. I thought it was so interesting. I didn't make the best grade in there. It was a little hard, but it was one of my favorite classes just because it was so cool. So go into college and into UT with the mindset that you're going to learn and take some really cool classes, and not just with the mindset that you need to get perfect grades. Number 5. UT is located in the middle of Austin, so once you step off campus, you're in the middle of the city. I really love it. There's so much to do in Austin. It's the coolest city. There's anything from like super expensive, nice restaurants to tons of free parks to go to and have fun. There's so much nature stuff you can do. There's nightclubs, there's just such a variety of stuff in the city that like I feel like no matter who you are, there's something for you to do, which I love. Number 6, kind of going along with that, there's also a really good bus system in Austin. Take advantage of it, or you can take the bus all around Austin for free, so you really don't need a car at UT. 7, do I feel safe on campus? I know this is a big question for a lot of people, is safety on campus. I really haven't felt unsafe on campus. I lived in a dorm last year, which really helped because I was always really close to all my classes. There's West Campus is where a lot of the apartments are, which I've heard is a little sketchy at night, so if you're living off campus, you might want to be careful of that and find people to walk with definitely at night. But UT is really well lit. There's like street lights and all the buildings are always open at night, so if you feel unsafe, you can just run into a building. There's also a lot of resources. There's a thing called SureWalk, and if you just call them up, they will walk you to your class or to your dorm or wherever you need to go if you ever feel unsafe, which is great. So I would say overall, UT is a pretty safe campus. 8. One of my favorite things about UT is that all their professors really care about their students and are all working in the industry and working in their field. I had a not so good astronomy professor. I just didn't think he was a very good teacher, but he gave us his phone number and said that we could call him anytime with any astronomy questions. So even though I didn't really bond with his teaching style, he really cared about like making sure that his students did good. So I think that's one of the best things about UT is that they have really good professors. Number 9. The food. What's the food like at UT? So if you're going to live on a dorm, then you're going to be eating dorm food and in the dining hall. There's tons of options, which is great. You get kind of tired of the food after like a semester or so, but there are like so many places you can go. There's tons of little cafes that take dining dollars. There's a bunch of buffets in the dorm buildings. So I think as long as you keep mixing it up and going to a bunch of places, then you won't get tired of the dorm food. 10. Join a FIG. FIGs are called first year interest groups. And it's pretty much you'll have like 10 or 12 people that you take like 3 classes with. So that way when you go to class, then you know at least a couple people and you have people to study with. It's just kind of like instant friends, which is great. I took one with my major, so I took a film class, an anthropology class, and then a FIG class with like 10 people. And so all those 10 people are like still my friends. They're my best friends within my major, which is great. So yeah, I would super recommend it. You can't go wrong with it. You just get instant friends, which is great. 11. There are so many clubs, like so many clubs. And a lot of the clubs are pretty non-committal. Like you kind of like get what you give as far as clubs go. You could kind of like participate however much you want into clubs, which is great. So whether you have like a ton of free time or like no free time, you can definitely take advantage of clubs and organizations and just kind of decide how much time you want to give to those clubs. 12. Get on some email lists. Okay, so for example, a great email list to get on is career services. I went to a workshop on how to perfect your elevator pitch. They also have a career fair and they have some workshops on like how best to do good at the career fair. They have speakers come all the time to talk about your major that are free to go to for anybody. So you just kind of, nobody really knows about those. The workshops that I've gone to always have like 5 to 10 people. So I feel like they're really good and really helpful, and if people just knew about them, then they would take advantage of them. So you can look on their website and like look up the calendar to see about these workshops or get on a bunch of email lists to find out about them because they're super helpful. 13. Does UT have good study spots? Yes, but they can be crowded. So UT has a lot of like main study spots, like the PCL is a library that most people go to study, and it gets pretty crowded, especially during finals. There's no way you're going to find a seat at like the main libraries. But there are a lot of like spaces that aren't like specifically study spots, but that are great spots to study at UT that you just have to find. There's a lot of like really cool benches or courtyards at UT that are kind of hidden that are super cool to study at. There's some libraries within like major buildings, like there's a library in the architecture building that no one really goes to a lot. That's a really cool library to study at. So I think you just have to find like cool, unique, hidden study spots that aren't super crowded, and a lot of times they're like really cute and more aesthetic than just like the PCL. So yeah, I might make a video on like the best spots to study at UT, so if you guys would want to see that, let me know, because I found some real cool study spots, just saying. 14, is that the number we're on? I feel like we're not, but 14. There are big and small classes. I've had anywhere from 10 students to 500 students in my class. They're just going to be different. So I would really recommend before signing up for classes, researching what works best for you if you learn better in a big or small class. Big classes are going to have less grades. You're probably just going to have a couple essays and tests, and you'll have a discussion section where you can ask your TA specific questions about the class, and your TA is going to be grading everything. And then your professor is probably going to lecture the whole class, and you're not going to have any busy work or worksheets or anything. Versus the smaller classes are more like high school. You're going to do worksheets and have group projects, and you get to know your professor better. But you probably won't have as much lecture. It'll be more like busy work on you. So there's just pros and cons to both. 15. UT is a big school. I think there's like 50,000 kids or something at UT. So yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to big versus small schools. I really like UT being a big school. Every class I've had, I meet all new people in it because you never really have the same person in multiple of your classes because there's just so many kids. But your major is going to be smaller, so you'll definitely get to know people in your major. You're going to have smaller classes in your major, and you'll start to see the same faces in most of your major classes. but your like core classes like English and math and science are going to be pretty big, lots of students, people you've probably never met before, but you can make more friends. You're also going to have an advisor that is so great to talk to. The advisors at UT help you pick all of your classes. I've seen my advisor at UT way more than I saw my high school advisor. I go over my whole plan for like my 4 years of what I want to take and stuff, and meet with my advisor like anytime I have questions. Yeah, which is really great. I think way better than high school, that you, even though it's a really big school and there's lots of kids, you always have an advisor to meet with about any questions. 16, I'm running out of hands. UT has lots of distractions. There's always events happening in Austin and at UT, which is one thing that's amazing about UT, but it's definitely distracting. And a lot of my friends' grades were slipping at the beginning of the year because they were going to tons of clubs and free concerts in Austin and hanging out with friends and all that stuff and parties. So you definitely have to be careful about that at UT. UT's motto is work hard, play hard, and that's definitely true, but you gotta work hard in order to play hard at UT. 17. Everyone is really passionate at UT, which is my favorite thing at UT. It's not like in high school where some kid didn't really want to take math, so he didn't really try. Everyone at UT wants to learn and is excited about learning and is paying to be there, so everyone really enjoys classes and what they're doing, and classes are super interesting. So that's one of the best things about UT and why college is way better than high school, is kids actually want to be there. 18. I would suggest really researching your major before going into UT. That's one thing I didn't really do, and so I was kind of surprised at the beginning of the year about my major. For example, I'm in film, and we had to take a lot of like classes like the history of film and about media and stuff before we actually got into making films. Like, we're not making films until our sophomore year, and that's something I didn't know about my major, so I was kind of disappointed. But then there are also great things about my major that I didn't know that exceeded my expectations. So I would just say know what you're getting into at UT, know about all the classes you're going to take in your major, all the requirements in your major, and then also if Austin is a good city for your major. There are tons and tons of film festivals in Austin, which is great for me. I can like work with actual film professionals that are working in the industry by going to these film festivals. And I didn't really know about like a lot of those my first semester. So research like whether you're in like engineering or an English major or whatever, if there's stuff within Austin to get you working with like actual professionals in the career that you're going to go into. 19. All the UT dorms are super clean and quiet in the hallways. A lot of the UT dorms have like a dining hall in like the lobby and tons of study spots all around the dorm, which is great. Living in a dorm is super convenient, and I honestly didn't really mind the small space. Yeah, it was just easy to keep clean and stuff. I had a community bath, which I also didn't think was bad either. I was real disappointed about getting a community bath, but it was fine. You don't have to clean your bathroom if it's a community bath, so that's a plus. The showers can be a little cold sometimes, which sucks, but pros and cons, am I right? Yeah, dorm life is good life. I would recommend it your freshman year for sure. I really want to call this video 20 things you should know about UT or 20 tips for UT or something like that, but I could only think of 19, so yeah, sorry to shortchange you, I only got 19. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I'm so excited, like I hope I meet like a ton of you guys at UT. I think that would be so cool. I'm super excited to go back in the fall to UT and be a sophomore, so yeah. Let me know if you have any questions about UT, and have a great rest of your summer. Good luck your freshman year if you're going to be a freshman. Okay, bye!